30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
What you just heard was the launch sequence for Apollo 11, NASA and mankind's first major step beyond our world, and for Squad Gaming, Kerbal is their Apollo 11. It's their first attempt into the gaming world with space, but it's also the industry's first major, let's capture space and let's put it into a game. My name is Daniel Henderson, and welcome to Point Regen, where we will talk about space and the new frontier of gaming that it's bringing. So sit back and relax and get those hit points back. So for those that actually have had a chance to play Kerbal Space Program, and I highly suggest you do if you have the chance to play it, and it's a PC-only game. But for those that played it, you either fall in two categories. You absolutely love it right away, or you absolutely hate it. And for me, I bought it. I said, well, it looks a little mechanical, looks a little techy. But I said, I'll give it a try anyway. And I fell into that category of, I absolutely hated it at first. Because it made me feel stupid. I wish I paid more attention to the physics, didn't understand anything about it, and was really lost, and I put the game to aside for a while. But then I recently decided, why don't I give it another try? Actually play the tutorial, read what it's saying, and maybe look up a few videos. And by looking online and playing the tutorial, I discovered that it truly was a brilliant game. What it's done, though, is instead of giving you hours and hours of entertainment, which it does, trust me, it does, it gives you the ability to explore. And it does in a way that doesn't bore you. It doesn't feel like you're going through a physics class or an aerodynamics class or even, a class that just revolves around space like astronomy. What it feels like is you are playing a game, because somehow they capture it in this sort of whimsical thing where you're these little green guys on these funny named planets, but in reality you can kind of see, if you know the solar system, you can see it. The moon, the earth, the sun, and all the other planets. But for some people, and I think for me, and what I've read around and other people talking about this game, is it's done something more. It's kind of made us feel like the space race is back. That sort of vibe that people had when the Soviet Union was pushing for space and JFK said, we're going to the moon, and people just really were involved in the space race. Kids were dressing up as astronauts, running around in wagons, with rocket parts attached to it and pretending they were astronauts. And the whole world tuning around their televisions to watch the Apollo 11 mission, landing on the moon, Neil Armstrong. But for Kerbal, it does that. Since I started playing the game religiously, I pretty much play it every day. I keep doing things from mimicking Apollo missions, mimicking the Gemini missions, mimicking new things, making satellites, trying to figure out, can I make a compact satellite and launch it successfully to go beyond the Earth's orbit? But what it's also done is it's really just wanted me to see NASA. And I live in Texas, and I've been trying to get my parents to actually go and see the Johnson Space Center, which is in Texas, because I want to see a real NASA rocket. I want to see a replica of the Apollo capsules. I want to see it, and I want to somehow take what I learned from NASA and put it back into the game. And after playing it, I don't feel like I've gone through a class, but instead, I've actually somehow contributed to this idea of space exploration. And that's actually interesting, because NASA kind of approves of this game. There's actually a NASA mission, a NASA scenario within the game. And so I asked myself, how does this separate from other space games? I mean, we have space games. We have games based around alien interactions. There's a lot of shootings, a lot of space blowing up, like Starship Citizen. It's all space. But what I think about this game is it gives you not only that sandbox, that creative, that do whatever you want element, it gives you a sense of you're either in the capsule of the Apollo missions or you're on the ground dictating what is happening, and you can literally rewrite history at the fingertips. But what I think this game is really doing is it's kind of sparking this newfound idea that there is a lot more beyond us. And that's the beauty of the game. I mean, you play it, you launch your first rocket, it only goes maybe 1,000 meters into the atmosphere, and that's it, and it comes crashing down. And if you have a parachute, you're lucky. If not, you kill your astronaut, and you feel really, really bad. But what it also shows is that really the complexity that NASA has to deal with. You can only make a rocket so big, and you can only make a rocket have so much fuel. So it's really up to you to see how far you can go. So it has that elements of challenge, it has the elements of science, it has that elements of whimsicalness, but at the same time, you're kind of emotionally invested. You send these 3 astronauts in a capsule, try to go into the moon, and it doesn't work. You have the option to leave them there. You can destroy it, but that's going to kill them. Do you really want to kill them? Or do you want to launch a rescue mission? And that itself has its problems, because now you're trying to capture this tiny little rocket, this docking port, in the infinite vastness of space. So it really drives that NASA has a hard job, but what NASA's doing is amazing. And I think this game is kind of at the right time. We have the New Horizon sending photos back of Pluto that we've never seen before, and Pluto's always been sort of that tiny little ball that floats around that people sometimes say a planet and people say it's not, and it gets shafted and thrown away at the end of the day. But now we begin to see that it's complex. It has a character to it, like all the other planets do. And I think this is what this game's going to do. I was talking to someone, and they came up with the idea of, what if this game solves problems? And I thought to myself, that's an interesting problem. I mean, that's an interesting kind of thought about it. But the person was right. She said, what if this gives NASA a solution to a problem? Let's say they find out that someone built a rocket that can go to space and somehow do something that we haven't been able to think of. Because you have NASA, and you have maybe a hand select group of scientists, engineers, and people that can figure out how to build a rocket. And sure, you and I probably don't have a degree in rocket science, don't have a degree that, we can do anything related to what NASA does, but we have creativeness. We have that sort of gaming mindset that allows us to really just dig deep. And we allow to just explore. And for us, it's a game. If we crash, we lose the Kerbal, but we could get another one from the astronaut complex and not feel too bad. I mean, I feel bad when I lose them, but it's not like losing a human life. So here we are, we can try multiple test runs over and over and over again, and before you know it, we might have solved a problem. Now, is it going to work when we take it from a video game made by a company in Mexico to the real world of NASA and real space and the unforgiveness of void of vacuums and stuff? No, it might not. But we don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's why this game is capturing a new frontier. It's basically making real life space fun. There's no need for guns, no need for explosions, no need for pirates, aliens, warp drives, nothing like that. Like other games have, Starship Citizen has warp drives, Elite has warp drives, the speed of light business, this all futurist idea. But Kerbal said, hey, let's bring it back. Let's make it real. So I think that's what Kerbal does, is it's pushing the envelope of what gamers want. There's no action, there's no explosions, there's no flashiness. What there is just space. And you with a rocket, a thruster, fuel, and an astronaut who's green and his head's about the size of his body. And it's you and the vastness of space. And so that's why this game is the Apollo 11 of the gaming industry. We don't know what's going to happen when this game reaches its final destination, the moon. Will this game step one foot on the moon and disappear like some people thought would happen? Will we discover a new alien life on the moon? People didn't know when the Apollo 11 mission happened. What would happen when Neil Armstrong put his foot down? No one knew. So I think that's what this game is. We don't know what's going to happen to the industry. People thought gamers need flashiness, fast pace, shoot 'em up, and that may be true. But this game takes that all away and sets the gamer on this capsule to an unknown moon. And that moon is what we make of it, and what we discover and what the industry discovers. So, good luck on your mission to the moon, and thank you for listening.